Hana woke up feeling wrong. Her body ached in ways that made no sense. Every muscle felt heavy, like someone had replaced her bones with metal. She tried to sit up in her small quarters aboard the Compassion's edge, but her head spun. The ceiling lights, usually so comfortable, now felt too bright and sharp against her eyes. She pressed her hand against her forehead. Hot. Too hot. Fever, she thought. But that should not be possible. The ship's medical systems kept everyone healthy. They filtered the air, checked the food, monitored everything. Humans were not supposed to get sick here, but Hana felt terrible. Her throat hurt when she swallowed. Her nose felt stuffed. She shivered even though the room temperature was perfect. This was definitely illness, and it was definitely happening. She had work to do. Research samples to analyze. Reports to file. Captain Ruvik expected her in the lab at 0800 hours. Hana never missed work. She was the only human on this ship, representing her entire species. She could not show weakness. Hana forced herself to stand. The room tilted. She grabbed the wall, waiting for the world to stop moving. After a moment, she took a careful step forward. Then another. She could do this. She just needed to reach the lab. The corridor outside her quarters stretched endlessly. Other crew members passed by. A tall Valkyrian with shimmering scales nodded at her. Two small Corvians chittered to each other as they walked. None of them noticed how Hana leaned against the wall between each step. None of them saw the sweat on her forehead or how her hands shook. She made it halfway to the lab before her legs gave out. Hana felt herself falling. The floor rushed up to meet her. She tried to catch herself, but her arms would not respond. Then strong hands grabbed her shoulders. Someone was speaking, but the words sounded far away and strange. When Hana's eyes focused again, she saw Dr. Minho looking down at her. His large insect eyes reflected concern in their many facets. His chitinous face could not show expressions the way human faces did, but Hana had learned to read Thurian body language. The way his antennae drooped forward meant worry. "Hana, you are unwell," Dr. Minho said. His voice clicked and hummed through his translator. "We must go to medical bay immediately." "I can walk," Hana tried to say, but it came out as a whisper. "No," Dr. Minho said firmly. He helped her up with surprising gentleness for someone with so many sharp edges. "You cannot. I will assist you." The medical bay was cold and clean and bright. Everything was metal and glass and sterile white surfaces. Machines beeped and hummed. Dr. Minho guided Hana to a bed, though it was not really a bed. More like a flat examination table with a thin cushion. He pressed buttons on a console and scanners descended from the ceiling, running blue lights over her body. "Interesting," Dr. Minho said after studying the scanner results. "You have contracted the Velkin flu. It is a common virus among several species aboard this vessel, but I did not think humans could catch it." "Apparently we can," Hana said weakly. She felt so cold now. The shivers would not stop. "The treatment is simple," Dr. Minho continued, preparing an injection. "Antivirals, immune boosters, rest. You should recover in 3 to 4 days. Standard procedure." The injection stung, but Hana barely felt it. She was so tired, so cold. She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to stop shaking. "Are you experiencing pain?" Dr. Minho asked, watching her closely. "No, just cold. Do you have a blanket?" Dr. Minho's antennae twitched in confusion. "The temperature in this room is optimal for human physiology. You should not be cold, I know. But I am. It is the fever. When humans get sick, we feel cold even when we are hot. We need warmth, blankets, soft things." Hana's voice cracked. She hated how weak she sounded. Dr. Minho tilted his head, a very human gesture he had learned from her. "I do not have blankets. Medical bay does not require such items. But I can increase the room temperature, that helps a little. Thank you." Hana closed her eyes. Tears leaked from the corners, hot against her cold skin. She was so far from home, so far from Earth. If she were sick at home, her mother would make soup. Her father would bring her favorite stuffed bear from childhood. Her sister would sit with her and watch movies. Here she had a metal table and clinical efficiency. "You should sleep now," Dr. Minho said. "The antivirals will work better if you rest. I will monitor your vital signs." "Okay," Hana whispered, but she could not sleep. The table was too hard. The lights were too bright even through her closed eyelids. Everything felt wrong. She missed softness. She missed comfort. She missed home. After Dr. Minho left to check other patients, Hana curled on her side. She pulled her knees to her chest, making herself as small as possible. The shivers continued. The ache in her muscles got worse, and the loneliness felt like a weight on her chest. She thought about her quarters and the soft blanket she kept folded on her bed. It was blue and fuzzy, sent from Earth, one of the few personal items she was allowed to bring. Right now, she wanted that blanket more than anything, but her quarters were so far away and she could not walk. Hana did not notice when Captain Ruvik entered the medical bay. She only became aware of his presence when his shadow fell across her. "Dr. Minho informed me of your condition," the captain said. His voice was deep and precise. Velcarians always spoke with careful formality. "You will be excused from duty until you recover." "Thank you, sir," Hana managed to say. Ruvik studied her for a long moment. His crystalline scales caught the light, creating small rainbows on the walls. "You are distressed," he observed. "Is the illness more severe than Dr. Minho indicated?" "No, the illness is fine. I mean, it is not fine, but it is normal. Just a flu. I will be okay." Hana tried to explain, but her thoughts felt fuzzy. Humans just need different things when we are sick. Comfort things, not just medicine. "Comfort things," Ruvik repeated slowly as if testing the words. "What are these?" "Soft blankets, warm drinks, someone to stay with you, familiar objects that make you feel safe." Hana's eyes filled with tears again. She felt embarrassed crying in front of her captain, but she could not stop. "Things that make you feel less alone." Ruvik was quiet for a moment. "I do not understand," he finally said. "But I see that you need something we have not provided. I will speak with Dr. Minho about this." After the captain left, Hana drifted into an uneasy sleep. She dreamed of Earth, of her childhood bedroom with its soft carpet and warm sunlight. When she woke, she was still in the medical bay. Still cold, still alone, and still very far from home. Pip was not supposed to be in the medical bay. Cubs were not allowed in most areas of the ship, especially not places where sick crew members rested. But Pip was small and quick, and he knew how to slip past the security sensors. He had to see Hana. The little Corvian pressed himself against the wall, his brown fur blending with the shadows. He waited until Dr. Minho left the room, then darted inside. The medical bay looked scary at night. All the machines blinked with red and blue lights. Strange equipment hung from the ceiling. But Pip was brave. Hana always said he was the bravest cub on the ship. He found Hana on the examination table, curled into a ball. She was shaking. Pip had never seen her shake before. Hana was always warm and strong. She picked him up and spun him around. She laughed at his jokes. She taught him human games and songs. But now she looked so small. Pip climbed onto a chair next to the table. He reached out with one tiny paw and touched Hana's hand. Her skin felt hot, but she was shivering like she was cold. How could someone be hot and cold at the same time? It made no sense. Hana made a sound in her sleep. It was a sad sound, like crying, but quieter. Pip's ears drooped. He had never heard Hana cry before. She said something he could not understand. A word in human language. Mama, maybe, or mother. Pip knew those words meant parent in human terms. Water leaked from the corners of Hana's closed eyes. Tears. Pip knew about tears. Hana had explained them once. Humans cried when they were sad or hurt or scared. Sometimes when they were happy too, which Pip found very confusing. But these were definitely sad tears. Pip wanted to help. He wanted to make Hana feel better. But he did not know how. On his home planet, when cubs got sick, their parents gave them medicine, and that was that. No one shook. No one cried. Sickness was just something that happened, then went away. But Hana was different. Humans were different. Pip needed to find out what humans needed when they were sick. He slipped out of the medical bay and ran through the corridors. His small feet made almost no sound on the metal floors. He knew where the other cubs would be. They always gathered in the observation room after evening meal, watching the stars and talking. Sure enough, Pip found Sunwoo, Yuna, and Taeyang sitting by the large window. Sunwoo was reading something on a data pad. Yuna was humming to herself, making patterns in a puddle of water she had created. Taeyang glowed softly in the dim light, his bioluminescence creating gentle blue patterns on the walls. "We have to help Hana," Pip announced, his fur standing on end with urgency. Sunwoo looked up from his data pad. His young Velcarian features were serious. "I heard she is ill, but Dr. Minho is treating her. She will recover in a few days." "It is not just about medicine," Pip said. He tried to explain what he had seen. "She is crying." She is shaking. She looks so sad and alone. Something is wrong and medicine is not fixing it. Yuna's large aquatic eyes widened, crying. But Hana is always happy. She tells the best stories. Not now, Pip said quietly. Now she is just sad. Taeyang's glow shifted to a worried yellow. We should ask the adults. They will know what to do. The adults do not understand, Pip said firmly. They think medicine is enough. But humans need more than that. Hana told me once about being sick on Earth. She said her family brought her soft things and warm food and stayed with her. She said it made her feel better even though she was still sick. Sunwoo's eyes lit up with understanding. Psychological comfort. I have read about this. Some species require emotional support during illness, not just physical treatment. It affects their recovery rates. Can you find out more? Pip asked. Can you research what humans need when they are sick? Sunwoo was already typing on his datapad. I can access the human medical database. Give me a moment. The cubs gathered around Sunwoo, watching as information scrolled across the screen. Words appeared that Pip did not know. Comfort care. Emotional support. Bedside manner. Healing environment. Look at this, Sunwoo said, pointing at an image. When humans are sick, they use blankets, soft coverings that provide warmth and security. It is a psychological need as much as a physical one. Yuna leaned closer. What else do they need? Sunwoo scrolled through more information. Warm beverages, soft toys from childhood, familiar scents, gentle sounds, presence of loved ones. They call these comfort objects and comfort behaviors. Apparently, human medicine recognizes that mental state affects physical healing. That is so strange, Taeyang said. But his voice was thoughtful, not mean. We just take medicine and wait to feel better. We do not need things. Maybe we should need things, Yuna said softly. Maybe it would help us too. Pip's ears perked up. So we can help her? We can bring her these comfort things? Sunwoo nodded slowly. I believe so. But we need to be careful. We are cubs. The adults might not approve of us interfering with medical care. We are not interfering, Pip said with determination. We are helping. Hana is our friend. Friends help each other. All 4 cubs looked at each other. A silent agreement passed between them. They would help Hana no matter what the adults said. Okay, Sunwoo said, becoming practical. We need a plan. Pip, you are closest to Hana. What do you have that might comfort her? Pip thought hard. I have my glowing orb. The one my parent gave me before I came on the ship. It is warm and makes light. Hana always said she liked it. Perfect, Sunwoo said. That is a comfort object. What about warmth? Humans seem to need warmth when sick. He thought for a moment. I can get thermal blankets from engineering. I know where they store them. I can make soothing sounds, Yuna offered. Water sounds. Hana told me once that humans find the sound of water very relaxing. I can create a gentle stream sound for her. And I can provide gentle light, Taeyang added. Not bright like medical bay lights. Soft light like a sunset. Hana showed me pictures of Earth sunsets once. She said they made her feel peaceful. The cubs spent the next hour planning. Sunwoo mapped out the best time to visit the medical bay when Dr. Minho would be busy. Pip practiced carrying his orb without dropping it. Yuna worked on creating the perfect water sound pattern. Taeyang experimented with different light colors and intensities. As they prepared, Pip felt something warm growing in his chest. Hope. They could do this. They could help Hana feel better. Maybe cubs were small and maybe adults knew about medicine, but cubs knew about caring, and sometimes caring was more important than medicine. Tomorrow, Pip whispered to his friends. Tomorrow we show Hana that she is not alone. The other cubs nodded. Tomorrow they would launch Operation Comfort. It was a silly name that Yuna had suggested, but Pip liked it, because that was exactly what they were going to bring to their human friend. Comfort. And maybe, just maybe, a little bit of home. The cubs moved through the ship like tiny shadows. It was late in the evening cycle, when most crew members were either in their quarters or at their stations. Perfect timing for 4 small beings on a secret mission. Pip led the way, clutching his glowing orb against his chest. The orb was precious to him. His parent had given it to him the day he boarded the ship. It was warm, always warm, and it pulsed with a gentle light that matched his heartbeat. He had never let anyone else hold it before, but for Hana, he would share anything. Behind him, Sunwoo carried 2 thermal blankets folded carefully in his arms. He had convinced the engineering officer that they were for a school project about heat retention. It was not exactly a lie. They were definitely going to retain heat, just not for a project. Yuna floated along in her portable water sphere. She had spent all morning practicing her sounds. Now she could create the perfect gentle stream, complete with little splashes and trickles. She hoped Hana would like it. Taeyang brought up the rear, his natural glow dimmed to almost nothing so they would not be noticed. He had practiced all day, learning to shift his light to warm amber instead of his usual bright blue. He wanted to be like a sunset for Hana, like home. They reached the medical bay door. Pip pressed his ear against it, listening. He could hear the soft beep of machines, but nothing else. Dr. Minho must be in his office on the other side of the bay. Good. Ready? Pip whispered. The other cubs nodded. Together they slipped inside. The medical bay was just as cold and bright as Pip remembered. But now they were going to change that. They were going to make it better. Hana was asleep on the examination table, still curled into a small ball. She looked a little better than yesterday. Her face was not quite so pale, but she was still shivering and there were dried tear tracks on her cheeks. Pip's heart hurt seeing her like this. He climbed up onto the chair next to her table and gently placed his glowing orb near her hand. The orb pulsed warmly, casting a soft golden light across her fingers. Sunwoo carefully unfolded the thermal blankets. They were designed for emergency situations, made to keep crew members warm in cold environments. He draped them over Hana, one after the other, tucking them gently around her shoulders. The blankets activated at her body temperature, beginning to radiate warmth. Yuna positioned her water sphere on a nearby table and began her performance. The sound started soft, like a distant stream. Then it grew clearer. The gentle babble of water over stones, the soft splash of tiny waterfalls, the quiet whisper of flowing currents. It filled the room with sound that was not harsh or mechanical, but natural and soothing. Taeyang found a spot near the foot of Hana's table and slowly increased his glow. Not bright, never bright, just a warm amber light that spread through the room like honey. He imagined an earth sunset that Hana had described to him once. Orange and gold and pink all mixed together. He tried to create that feeling with his light. The medical bay transformed. The harsh white light seemed less cold now, softened by Taeyang's glow. The beeping machines faded into the background behind Yuna's water sounds. The air felt warmer, gentler, more alive. And then Hana's eyes opened. At first she looked confused. Her eyes moved from cub to cub, taking in the scene. The glowing orb near her hand. The warm blankets covering her. The sound of water. The sunset light. Then her face crumpled and tears started flowing. Pip panicked. Oh no, we made it worse. I am sorry, Hana. We were trying to help. But Hana was shaking her head. She reached out with one hand and gently stroked Pip's fur. No, she whispered, her voice rough from sleep and sickness. No, these are happy tears, you wonderful, amazing cubs. How did you know? Pip's ears perked up. Happy tears? Those were real? We researched, he said proudly. We learned about human comfort care. Sunwoo found information about what sick humans need. Sunwoo stepped forward, pleased but trying to be modest. The medical database indicated that humans require psychological comfort during illness. We attempted to provide appropriate items based on that research. Hana smiled through her tears. You did perfectly. This is exactly what I needed. She pulled the thermal blankets tighter around herself. These are wonderful. So warm. Yuna bobbed excitedly in her water sphere. Do you like the water sounds? I practiced all morning. They are beautiful, Hana said. They remind me of the creek behind my childhood home. I used to sit there when I needed to think and the light. Taeyang asked nervously. Is it okay? I tried to make it like a sunset. It is perfect, Hana said softly. It is exactly like sunset on Earth. How did you know that would make me feel better? You told me once that sunsets made you feel peaceful, Taeyang said. I remembered. Hana's eyes filled with fresh tears, but she was smiling. You all remembered. You all listened to me talk about Earth and my home, and you remembered. Of course we remembered, Pip said, climbing onto the edge of her table. You are our friend. Friends remember important things. Hana reached out and carefully picked up Pip, holding him gently against her chest. He could feel her heartbeat, strong and steady, even though she was sick. But Pip, she said, looking at the glowing orb, this is your special treasure. You should not give it to me. I am not giving it to you forever, Pip explained. Just for now. Just until you feel better. Everyone needs something warm to hold when they are sick. You said so yourself. Hana hugged Pip closer, being careful not to squeeze too hard. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you all so much. I did not realize how much I needed this until now." The cubs gathered around Hana's table. Pip settled in the crook of her arm, purring softly. Sunwoo sat in the chair beside her. His usual serious expression softened. Yuna continued her water symphony, adding new gentle variations. Taeyang maintained his sunset glow, warm and steady. "Will you tell us a story?" Yuna asked. "You always tell the best stories." Hana thought for a moment, then smiled. "I will tell you about when I was little and got sick for the first time. My mother made me special soup, and my father brought every stuffed animal I owned to my bed. I was buried in soft toys, probably 20 of them. I felt so loved and safe, even though I felt terrible." As Hana talked, her voice grew stronger. The shivers slowly stopped. Color returned to her cheeks. She was still sick, still needed the medicine, but something had changed. She did not look alone anymore. She looked like someone who was cared for, someone who was home, even in a strange place far from Earth. Dr. Minho found them like that an hour later, 4 cubs surrounding a human, all of them peaceful and content. He stood in the doorway for a long moment, his antennae working as he processed the scene. Then he checked his medical scanners. Hana's vital signs had improved significantly. Her heart rate was calmer. Her temperature had dropped slightly. Her stress hormones had decreased. All good signs. Medical science said she should be the same or slightly worse at this stage of the illness, but she was better. Dr. Minho looked at the thermal blankets, the glowing orb, the water sounds, the gentle light. He looked at the cubs gathered protectively around their human friend. And for the first time in his medical career, he wondered if there was more to healing than medicine and procedures. Perhaps, he thought, the young ones had discovered something important, something his medical training had never taught him, something about care and comfort and connection, something very human, but maybe something every species needed. He decided not to send the cubs away. Instead, he quietly increased the oxygen flow to the room, adjusted the temperature controls to maintain optimal warmth, and returned to his office. Some experiments, he realized, were worth observing. Captain Ryuvik did not usually visit the medical bay in the evening. He had reports to review, systems to check, decisions to make. Running a multi-species research vessel required constant attention. But something pulled him toward medical that night. Concern for his human crew member, perhaps, or curiosity about what Dr. Minho had mentioned earlier about improved vital signs. The door to the medical bay slid open silently. What Ryuvik saw made him stop in his tracks. The harsh white medical lights had been dimmed. In their place, a warm amber glow filled the room, emanating from young Taeyang, who sat cross-legged on the floor. The sound of water, gentle and rhythmic, came from Yuna's sphere. 4 cubs were gathered around Hana's examination table like small guardians, but it was Hana's face that struck him most. She was sitting up now, wrapped in thermal blankets, holding Pip in her lap, and she was teaching them a song. A human song, soft and melodic. Her voice was still rough from illness, but there was life in it. Warmth. Joy, even. "Hush, little baby, do not say a word. Papa's gonna buy you a mockingbird." The cubs listened with fascination, trying to hum along. Pip's ears twitched with the rhythm. Sunwoo's head bobbed slightly. It was a lullaby, Ruvik realized. A song for young ones. A song about comfort and care and promises of protection. Ruvik stood frozen in the doorway, unable to move. He had never seen anything like this. In Valkyrian culture, illness was a solitary experience. One went to medical, received treatment, and returned to duty when able. There were no songs, no gatherings. Certainly no cubs bringing toys and blankets. But this was something else entirely. This was beauty. "Captain," Sunwoo's voice broke through his thoughts. The young Valkyrian had spotted him in the doorway. We were visiting Hana." All the cubs turned to look at him. Pip's ears drooped, expecting punishment. Yuna's water sounds faltered. Taeyang's glow dimmed slightly. Even Hana looked worried. "I am not angry," Ryuvik said, surprising himself. He stepped into the room fully. "I am simply observing." He approached the examination table slowly, studying the scene with his analytical mind. The thermal blankets from engineering, the glowing orb that he recognized as Pip's most treasured possession, the carefully maintained water sounds and bioluminescent light. This was not random. This was planned, intentional, researched. Sunwoo, Ruvik said, looking at his nephew. Did you coordinate this? Yes, sir, Sunwoo admitted. But it was Pip's idea. He saw that Hana needed more than medicine. We researched human comfort care protocols and implemented appropriate interventions. Even in crisis, his nephew spoke like a scientist. Ryuvik felt a strange mixture of pride and something else. Something softer. We just wanted to help, Pip said in a small voice. Hana is our friend. She was sad and alone. Friends do not let friends be alone when they are sick. Ryuvik looked at the little Corvian. Pip was barely bigger than his hand, covered in soft brown fur, with enormous eyes that held surprising wisdom. Friends do not let friends be alone, Ryuvik repeated slowly. Is that a human concept? It is a universal concept, Hana said quietly. At least it should be. She adjusted the blankets around herself. Captain, I know this looks unusual, but they have helped me more than any medicine could. Not because the medicine is not working, but because healing is not just about fixing the body. It is about caring for the whole person. Ryuvik considered her words. In his many years of command, he had overseen countless medical procedures. Crew members got sick, received treatment, and recovered. It was efficient, logical. But had anyone ever recovered with such obvious contentment? With such peace in their eyes? He turned to the door where Dr. Minho had appeared, probably alerted by the door opening. Doctor, Ryuvik said, what are Hana's current vital signs? Dr. Minho checked his scanner. Improved across all metrics, Captain. Heart rate is stable. Temperature has decreased by 0.8 degrees. Stress hormones are significantly reduced. Her recovery is progressing faster than predicted. And you attribute this to what? The antivirals? Dr. Minho's antennae twitched thoughtfully. The antivirals are working as expected. But the accelerated recovery rate correlates with the arrival of the cubs and their comfort interventions. I have been monitoring the situation. The psychological impact on physical healing is measurable. Ryuvik looked around the transformed medical bay again. At the warm light, the soothing sounds, the gathered cubs, the blankets and the glowing orb. At Hana's face, no longer tight with pain and loneliness. Measurable, he said. Yes, Captain. The data is clear. Emotional support has a direct physiological effect on human healing. And I suspect it may be true for other species as well, though we have never tested it. Because we have never provided it, Ryuvik said quietly. Correct? Ryuvik moved closer to Hana's table. He looked down at his nephew, who was watching him with careful eyes. Sunwoo, you showed initiative. You identified a need that the adults missed. That is worthy of recognition. Sunwoo's crystalline scales brightened with surprise and pleasure. Thank you, Uncle. All of you. Ryuvik continued, looking at each cub in turn. You have demonstrated something important today. You have shown that care and efficiency are not opposed concepts, that logic and compassion can work together, that sometimes the smallest crew members see what the largest miss. Pip's ears perked up. So we are not in trouble? No, Ryuvik said. You are not in trouble. In fact, I am authorizing you to continue your comfort care. With medical supervision, of course. The cubs exchanged excited looks. Hana smiled, tears gathering in her eyes again. Happy tears, Ryuvik noted. Humans cried when happy. How strange and wonderful. Dr. Minho, Ryuvik said, turning to his medical officer. I want you to document everything. Record the methods these cubs have used. Monitor Hana's recovery in relation to their presence. Create a formal report on emotional comfort as a component of medical care. You want to add this to our medical protocols? Dr. Minho asked. I want to consider it, Ryuvik said. If the data supports its effectiveness, then yes. We should add it to protocols. He paused, looking at Hana. We pride ourselves on being an advanced civilization, on our technology and our efficiency, but perhaps we have forgotten something fundamental in our pursuit of advancement. What is that, Captain? Sunwoo asked. Ryuvik looked at his nephew, at all the cubs, at Hana wrapped in her blankets with Pip, purring in her lap. Kindness, he said simply. We forgot about kindness. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Hana spoke, her voice soft but clear. It is not too late to remember. No, Ryuvik agreed. It is not too late. He stayed for a while longer, watching as Hana continued teaching the cubs her lullaby. Watching as Taeyang adjusted his glow to match the rhythm of the song. Watching as Yuna added gentle variations to her water sounds. Watching as Pip nestled closer to Hana, his small body radiating trust and affection. And Ryuvik felt something shift inside his own chest. A warmth that had nothing to do with thermal blankets. A softness that had nothing to do with weakness. For the first time in many years, Captain Ryuvik felt what humans might call hope. Hope that they could be better. Hope that they could learn. Hope that 4 small cubs and 1 sick human were teaching the entire ship something precious and true. That caring was not inefficient. That kindness was not weakness. That love, in all its forms, was the most advanced technology of all. News traveled fast on a ship. By the next morning, every crew member knew what the cubs had done. Some found it amusing. Some found it puzzling. But many found it deeply moving. The first visitor arrived during the breakfast cycle. Engineer Tyeri, a tall Velkarian with emerald-colored scales, entered the medical bay carrying something wrapped in cloth. She approached Hana's table carefully as if afraid she might break something precious. "I heard what the cubs did," Terry said, her voice uncharacteristically soft. "I wanted to contribute." She unwrapped the cloth to reveal a small device. "It is a music player. I programmed it with recordings from Earth. Classical music, I believe it is called. I thought it might comfort you." Hana took the device with shaking hands. She pressed the button and the gentle sound of piano music filled the air. Chopin's Nocturne, one of her favorites. "You made this for me?" Terry's scales shifted to a lighter shade, the Velkarian equivalent of a blush. "It was not difficult. I simply accessed the Earth Cultural Database. But if it helps you heal, then it was worth the time." After Terry left, more crew members came. The navigation officer brought a hologram projector displaying images of Earth, landscapes, mountains, oceans, forests, the places Hana had talked about during their long shifts together. Head chef arrived with a steaming bowl. "I researched human comfort foods," they explained. "This is chicken soup. Or as close as I could make it with our supplies. The ingredients are slightly different, but the concept is the same. Warm, salty, nourishing." Hana tasted the soup and tears sprang to her eyes. It was not exactly like her mother's recipe. The chicken was actually a synthesized protein from algae. The vegetables were species she had never seen on Earth. But it was warm and comforting and made with care. That was what mattered. By midday, the medical bay looked nothing like a medical facility. Plants lined the walls brought by the botany department. Soft fabrics hung from the ceiling, creating a sense of coziness. The harsh white lights had been replaced entirely by Taeyang's glow and a series of gentle lamps that various crew members had donated. Dr. Minho observed all of this with scientific fascination. He moved through the transformed space, scanner in hand, recording everything, but he was not frowning. In fact, if Thurians could smile, Hana thought he might be doing exactly that. "Remarkable," he muttered, checking his readings. "Your vital signs continue to improve beyond projected rates. Blood pressure optimal. Temperature nearly normal. Immune response accelerated. The correlation between emotional support and physical healing is undeniable." Hana smiled at him from her nest of blankets. "See? I told you humans need more than just medicine." "But it is not just humans," Dr. Minho said thoughtfully. "I have been reviewing medical records. Crew members of every species recover faster when they have visitors, when they receive personal items, when they have things that remind them of home. We simply never categorized it as medical care before." He paused, his antennae working in that way that meant he was thinking hard. "We have been so focused on treating the disease that we forgot to care for the patient." The afternoon brought an unexpected visitor. Captain Ryuvik entered with Sunwoo at his side. But they were not alone. Behind them came a delegation of officers, department heads, and senior crew members. "I have called this informal gathering," Ryuvik announced, "to discuss a proposal. Dr. Minho has prepared a preliminary report on comfort care protocols. Based on his findings and the success we have witnessed here, I am proposing that we implement emotional support as a standard component of medical treatment aboard this vessel." The officers looked at each other. Some seemed confused. Some seemed interested. The head of security, a gruff Thurian named Goro, spoke up. "You want to make feelings part of medical procedure?" "Not feelings exactly," Dr. Minho explained. "Psychological comfort. Environmental factors that reduce stress and promote healing. The data shows measurable improvement in recovery times, fewer complications, lower medication requirements. It is not emotional indulgence. It is medical efficiency." Framing it as efficiency seemed to help. The officers nodded thoughtfully. They understood efficiency. But it was Sunwoo who spoke next, his young voice clear and confident. It is more than efficiency, though, is it not? It is about recognizing that we are more than just bodies that need fixing. We have minds, hearts, memories, needs that go beyond the physical. The humans understand this. Maybe it is time we learned from them. Ryuvik looked at his nephew with undisguised pride. Well said, Sunwoo. He turned to the gathered officers. I propose the following changes. Medical bay will be redesigned to include comfort features. Lighting, sound, temperature will be customizable for different species. Patients will be encouraged to have personal items. Visitors will be welcomed, not restricted. And most importantly, we will train all crew members in basic emotional support techniques. The head of operations, a methodical Valkyrian named Nari, raised a concern. The resource allocation for such changes would be significant. Less significant than the current cost of extended recovery times and medical complications, Dr. Minho countered. I have run the calculations. Implementing comfort care would actually reduce overall medical expenses by approximately 18%. That changed minds quickly. 18% was nothing to dismiss. Are there any objections? Ryuvik asked. Silence. Then Goro spoke again, his voice rough but not unkind. No objections. If the cubs can figure this out, I suppose we adults can learn it too. Several officers made sounds of agreement. The proposal passed unanimously. As the meeting dispersed, crew members came forward one by one to speak with Hana. Some thanked her for teaching them something new. Some shared stories of times they had been sick and lonely. Some simply touched her hand gently, a gesture of connection that needed no words. The cubs, who had been watching everything from their usual positions around Hana's table, looked at each other with wonder. They had started something big, something important, something that would change how the entire ship cared for its crew. Pip climbed into Hana's lap, his favorite spot. Did we do good? He asked quietly. Hana hugged him gently. You did amazing. You taught everyone something they needed to learn. That caring for each other is not weakness, it is strength. By evening, word had spread beyond the Compassion's edge. Captain Ryuvik received messages from other vessels, asking about the new protocols. Dr. Minho was invited to present his findings at the next interspecies medical conference. What had started as 4 cubs wanting to help their friend was becoming a movement. That night, as Hana finally slept without fever or chills for the first time in days, surrounded by her adopted family of cubs and crew members who checked on her every few hours, she dreamed of home. But this time the dream was not sad, because she realized something important. Home was not just a place. Home was not just Earth. Home was anywhere people cared for you, anywhere you felt safe and loved, anywhere you belonged. And here on this ship full of aliens who were learning to comfort each other, who were learning to see beyond efficiency and logic to something deeper and more true, Hana had found another home. She woke once in the night to find Taeyang maintaining his gentle glow, Yuna humming her water songs, and Pip curled against her side with his precious orb still pulsing warmth. Sunwoo was asleep in the chair, his data pad fallen to the floor, exhausted from his research but content. Hana smiled and closed her eyes again. Tomorrow she would be well enough to return to her quarters. Tomorrow the medical bay would begin its transformation. Tomorrow the entire ship would start learning a new way of caring. But tonight she was exactly where she needed to be. Surrounded by love, wrapped in kindness, held by hope. And that, she thought as sleep claimed her again, was the best medicine of all.